Okay, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Um, it's uh, it's an odd story, and how you have to get to the afterlife. Like nowadays we think everything goes dark, you see a bright light, and you walk into the light. Well, now some people are saying don't walk into the light, and all this type of stuff. Anyhow, um, the Book of the Dead has a ritual they have to go through, and it's really written for a priest named Ani, and he's really one of the first people that are not a pharaoh that does this. And so it began to be unique, but what was seen in the culture was it went from just the pharaoh they were trying to make, become everlasting, and everybody else was nothing, to everybody had the chance of being everlasting. And it gave them more hope. And it's only written in, I believe, around 1270 something. I think they say in here BC, so it's not ancient as people give credit for. Some of the iconography out of it is, and so it seems to be a tale that keeps going on and on and on. And the old pharaohs had rituals, but it gets built up a little more, and they changed it throughout the way to make sure that you would be covered for things that may have happened, and amulets and things like that. So um, it's a neat story, but let's take a look at this. I'm just going to mirror this off this guy and perhaps do a little alliteration. But
Ani stands before a large golden scale, where the jackal-headed god Anubis is weighing his heart against a pure ostrich feather. Ani was a real person, a scribe from the Egyptian city of Thebes who lived in the 13th century BCE. And depicted here is a scene from his Book of the Dead, a 78-foot papyrus scroll designed to help him attain immortality. Such funerary texts were originally written only for pharaohs, but with time, the Egyptians came to believe regular people could also reach the afterlife. It ends with his death. His body is mummified by a team of priests who remove every organ except the heart, the seat of emotion, memory, and intelligence. It's then stuffed with a salt called natron and wrapped in resin-soaked linen. In addition, the wrappings are woven with charms for protection and topped with a heart scarab amulet that will prove important later on. The goal of the 2-month process is to preserve Ani's body as an ideal form with which his spirit can eventually reunite. But first, that spirit must pass through the Duat, or underworld. This is a realm of vast caverns, lakes of fire, and magical gates, all guarded by fearsome beasts. Snakes, crocodiles, and half-human monstrosities with names like He Who Dances in Blood. To make things worse, Apep, the serpent god of destruction, lurks in the shadows, waiting to swallow Ani's soul. Like other Egyptians who could afford it, Ani customized his scroll to include the particular spells, prayers, and codes he thought his spirit might need. Equipped with this arsenal, our hero traverses the obstacles, repels the monster's attacks, and stealthily avoids Apep to reach the hall of Ma'at, goddess of truth and justice. Here, Ani faces his final challenge. He is judged by 42 assessor gods, who must be convinced that he has lived a righteous life. Ani approaches each one, addressing them by name and declaring a sin he has not committed. Among these negative confessions, or declarations of innocence, he proclaims that he has not made anyone cry, is not an eavesdropper, and has not polluted the water. But
but also during that, what he's going to leave out here is that he says, I have not killed, I have not lied, I have not stealed, I have not bared false witness. And you can see that that is quite a foreground for what's in the Bible. That and some of Hammurabi's code kind of goes together. And then, of course, if you've read the Bible good, there's not just 10 things you're supposed to do, but there's all these laws and stuff he talks about after that that are strange and inept. And a lot of those can be found on Hammurabi's code. Some of them here from Egypt, too. Let's continue, though. Was this guy so righteous?
did Ani really live such a perfect life? Not quite, But that's where the heart scarab amulet comes in. It's inscribed with the words, "Do not stand as a witness against me," precisely so Ani's heart doesn't betray him by recalling the time he listened
And this is not bearing false witness.
to his neighbor's fight or washed his feet in the Nile. Now it's Ani's moment of truth, the weighing of the heart. If his heart is heavier than the feather, weighed down by Ani's wrongdoings, it'll be devoured by the monstrous Amit, part crocodile, part leopard, part hippopotamus, and Ani will cease to exist forever. But Ani is in luck. His heart is judged pure. Ra, the sun god, takes him to Osiris, god of the underworld, who gives him final approval to enter the afterlife. In the endless and lush field of reeds, Ani meets his deceased parents. Here there is no sadness, pain, or anger, but there is work to be done. Like everyone else, Ani must cultivate a plot of land, which he does with the help of a Shabti doll that had been placed in his tomb. Today, the papyrus of Ani resides in the British Museum, where it has been since 1888. Only Ani, if anyone, knows what really happened after his death. But thanks to his Book of the Dead, we can imagine him happily tending his crops for all eternity.
And you can see in that also where we get some of the ideas for heaven out of. If you mix that with the Sumerian idea that you get bird wings and fly to heaven, because they used to set dead people out and let birds eat them like buzzards, and they would fly pieces up to heaven. That's they felt like was the conveyance that was going on there, all the way back to the people of Arata, and we believe it goes all the way back through caveman times. But here's the strange story of that. And yeah, it kind of has the Elysian Fields idea of the Greeks too, doesn't it? Where there's an area and it's all just fields and everything's fantastic, but you have to cultivate a plot there. Why? Well, you have to do your part, but it's very easy. It's very easy, and it's not hot, and it's not cold, and you're not hungry, and you're not, and everything else is all it's all taken away in your in perpetualness, you know. So let's hope one of these things comes out to be correct. Thank you all for listening. Like if you like the info. Sub me. Peace.